at people who talk on social media and what they do to get their numbers or on television and whatever. And the only thing that I bring to the table is a level of, how to say, critical thinking that is totally absent from politics. You will have people who will, I have a book and a pen for when we take in calls. We're taking calls tonight. We're going to maintain that. You could feel free to share the video, it's on you. We have people who are capable in their fields, and they would be the go-to people on media. And media, when media was a strong hold for people to share opinions in the public space, those people, and there were a couple that they didn't even have the right skill set to be leading people politically. So even the alternatives to government sounded ridiculous. So, and I want to apologize if you hear a driving bass line behind. We have a band room next door, and the band is practicing tonight, and we have also that to contend with. But my position to you, and the reason you see me looking down, is I have to share this live to the WhatsApp people who have been expecting us since an hour ago, and they're messaging me to find out what's going on. So I have to let them know that the video has started. So I've given you 4 minutes of ramble. We're going to start 9 o'clock on the dot and give you either 1 hour or 2 hours, depending on how the video going. But we've been a circus for too long. And Trinidadians have to realize that we've been talking shit for 58 years. We've been talking the same shit for generations. We've been talking racist, tribal, justification nonsense. People have found excuses. There's a guy who follows me. His name is Justin Sealt or Schult or Shrelt or something. I have another one called Fats Crooks. And these two people, they don't agree with me. They don't support me. They don't follow me because they agree with me or they want to be elucidated. They are of another side. They tell themselves that they're in the middle, that they're not for one side or the other. But if they flip a coin in the air and they make birds PNM and numbers UNC and tell themselves when it's falling from the sky, pick one, they might find themselves picking the same one all the time. It is easy for people like Fats Crooks and Justin Schult, and I'm just using their names because today I stumble upon them and I'm thinking to myself, this is about 5 years that I have people like them who follow just to share and disagree with me by sharing for their small following to give them colloquial, not just likes, to give them the digital equivalent of a bounce and a hug up and a head rub. And I'm trying to understand, because these are big men now. It's not little boys. And I'm thinking to myself, because Justin is not a little boy. He has a job, he has responsibilities, he has a life. I'm not sure what Fats Crooks does. And I really don't care. But to watch them still do this, I know what makes me tick. What makes me tick is to come out here and try to get people to think. To think. I asked a question today. Keith Rowley is 71 years old. It took the intervention of one of the most senior heart specialists in this country to save his life recently. Keith Rowley's heart exploded. And they had to patch it together with the medical equivalent of duct tape and straws. He's on a third life. He is properly compromised. When they tell you you die from comorbidities, what they mean is your heart was too weak to stand up to the rigors of fighting off a virus. Because when your body goes into storm mode to fight a strong virus, and by all explanations, COVID-19 is a strong virus, but it's not unbeatable. And we know that now, at some point along the way, the professionals were going to figure things out. And they figured out COVID-19. They understand it. They have the DNA markers of this thing. They are reverse engineering COVID-19 right now. Some of it is provoking mutations, and they understand that that will happen. But the human body is a marvelous, marvelous thing. And the human body is capable of fighting off just about anything. Angostura, Carib, sells poison for a living. White oak, single barrel. Glenfiddich, single malt, 12-year-old that I like. All of it is poison first. Alcohol is poison. It is the death song of life. When something dies that is a living organism, at some point, it'll turn to alcohol. Alcohol is the death song. And when we drink alcohol, we take in poison. Sometimes we take so much poison, our bodies reject it and makes us vomit it back out, expel it. The human body is capable of creating. When you drink alcohol, it is capable of creating molecules that binds themselves to the alcohol to cancel it out so that it doesn't poison you. And so Sabga and Angostura and whoever else importing this could make some money. Because it's pretty ads. Sexy girls showing off their bodies. If you drink, you might get them. If they drink, they might tolerate you. That's the whole purpose of the advertising. But the point I'm trying to make is the human body is capable of fighting just about anything. We inject into humans horse blood cells that have been bitten by snakes, and we call it antivenom. Because when a snake bites a human and a snake bites a horse, it's a different fight, the size of a horse, obviously. And horse white blood cells create antivenom that you could inject into humans, and it works alongside your white blood cells to disempower whatever is a toxin or poison, because some snake bites are nerve agents, some are paralytic agents, and the different things. But your body reads it. Your body treats a stranger like COVID-19 as a hostile attack. Let me tell you something else. When somebody gets an organ transplant, kidney, heart, whatever, for the rest of their life, they have to take a drug that will prevent their body rejecting that organ and fighting to kill it. Your body will see a new kidney that's not made up of your genetic material or a new heart and try to kill it constantly. So for the rest of your life, you have to take a medication that is made to prevent your body fighting that organ. You know what that medication is made from? You have any idea? That medication is made from the chemical a woman's body creates when she's pregnant. Because even a fetus in a woman is seen by her body as a stranger to be evicted. And her body creates this agent to block them seeing it. And it is that we use. And for that to happen, your body has the amazing ability, what science is now learning, your body has the ability to break down the genetic code of what it is fighting and to re-engineer itself, its white blood cells, into antibodies. And what that means is it finds the genetic code of COVID-19 and it writes in white blood cell anti-coronavirus, anti-COVID-19 white blood cells. It creates those. So when you hear that they're doing tests, and once you create antibodies for something, once you create white blood cells that could fight something in your body, once you create that, it's for life. Your body will always be preparing that. So you can't get it again. Or if you get it again, your body will deal with it again, but it's highly unlikely. And that's what they call immunity. Immunity is you now have in your toolkit antibodies that will combat any reintroduction of whatever the hostile intruder was. I tell you all of this so you understand this. For all of that to happen is a war. When you get sick and you have symptoms like fever, and vomiting, and diarrhea, all of those things are reactions in your body to the war that is being fought within, trying to combat the intruder. And if your immune system, if all of the things that go towards making your body functional, if all of them are not 100%, you could be in trouble. There is something else, and as you age, we lose the chromosomes that are essential for helping right wrongs in our bodies. They are capped with something made up with the same material as fingernails and hair. I think that's called keratin, and those caps are called telomeres, and those telomeres wear down over time as you age, and that is why as you age it gets harder and harder for you to fight disease. What is going on is that you're losing the ability to fight those diseases, and they have to do a lot of prop-up stuff. That's why when people get old, they take so much medication, because a lot of the medication they take are medication to counteract side effects of medication that they're taking for other purposes. Elderly people take a lot of drugs because your body is no longer capable. And I wouldn't be surprised that Keith Rowley takes a cocktail of drugs morning, noon, and night. He is 71 years old. 71. No matter how good a car looks outside at 71, there's something called metal fatigue. At 71, Keith Rowley's body is literally breaking down. His heart has beaten so consistently for so long. It's tired. His lungs are tired. Any rips, tears, breaks, bends that he had during his life that created compromises in his system are there now. They exist now. His body wakes up every day like a chugging train to overcome the difficulties he has. I am telling you, at 54, my knees are not my own. I go to the gym and I work out, but I walk upstairs and I walk downstairs, and my knees and me, we're not working in simpatico anymore. Now, when I was young, I could run, jump, climb, skip, hop. I'm 54. And I know that my knees are telling me that they are not the same knees I had when I was 24. So I can imagine if I have these same knees, what they will be when I'm 64, if I get to be that old. And I want to explain that clearly, because to the fools who think that, you ever read the book The Emperor's New Clothes? The people who lied to the emperor out of loyalty didn't help the emperor, they didn't help the kingdom. And we do not do ourselves a service by lying. So I'm saying to you, when I ask the question today, It is not because Keith Rowley is an old man and I don't like him and he get COVID, so aha. Keith Rowley is the Prime Minister. Keith Rowley is the person that's sitting down in a cabinet meeting and hearing professionals, medical and otherwise, advise him as to how to deal with COVID-19 and spikes. That if you get 14 cases in the hospital, push the panic button, shut things down, send people home, and that kind of drama. He's getting that advice because he doesn't know better. He's not a medical doctor, he's a doctor of rocks. But now, everything he heard about, he's going to experience. He's going to experience, and that's different. He's going to feel it in his body. So when he survives, because I'm rooting for him to survive, it's important to me that Keith Rowley survives. Because if his tired, old, and broken body could contract COVID-19 and survive in this shithole, our public healthcare is pure shit. Our private healthcare is not that much better. Doctors will tell you when they're honest with you, Phillip, we operate in a shithole. We go to work at Mount Hope and there are surgeries scheduled and then they cancel the surgeries because they find rats or snakes or pigeons in this operating theater. They go to the St. James medical facility and all the elderly people are there. They set them up, 25 of them come for cataract surgeries today. All of them are there. We're going to do it like a assembly line. So all the doctors, the nurses, whoever else needs to be there, they're all there. They put the drops in the people's eyes to dilate their pupils and they stand up outside in the hot sun because they have nowhere else for them to go. And then somebody comes and says, we don't have the lenses. So these people who are prepped for surgery are sent home with a slip saying, come back in a year. Come back in a year. If Keith Rowley, San Fernando General Hospital can't handle an inquiry into neonatal deaths and mothers dying in that hospital, giving birth, San Fernando General Hospital. We had a doctor here recently who was so open and honest and said, people die in this country, needless deaths. People die who should not die. That there are ways and means to treat with these illnesses and people are dying from it. And they send the man away. They censored him and they sent him away. And to this day, Guardian, Newsday, Express, CNC3, TV6, nobody's done a follow-up. Mark Bassant, unspinning, all kind of irrelevant bullshit for you. All kind of nonsense. Because even in the unspin, they spin in to distract you from the things that you should know. That in this country that spends $5 billion a year on healthcare, we have the shittiest healthcare in the Western world. Haiti has better healthcare than us. Cuba, Jamaica, Barbados. There's nothing in Trinidad that anybody from anywhere, I'll tell you, they had a couple things. They had Dr. John Hayes. He was one of the best kidney specialists in the world. Bruno Mitchell, one of the best ophthalmologists in the world. He used to operate out of Cocorite Hospital. That's called Seventh-day Adventist, I believe. If not, I apologize. But Keith Rowley, enter him into this shit. When Keith Rowley went to West Shore with his heart, I mean, West Shore and Sinclair are two of the best hospitals in this country. Have you ever been to either? Have you ever really been to either? They are third world hospitals. And as somebody who's had his arm saved by surgery, by 4 surgeries in Sinclair Medical Center, I'd bend down and kiss the ground in Sinclair or West Shore than to ever have to walk into Port of Spain General Hospital or Mount Hope or San Fernando or even Tobago. None of these hospitals they're building, none of it, none of them make sense. Because all they are is a means for suppliers to rip off this country and pay kickbacks to public office holders. That's all they are. Not one of the regional health authorities could stand scrutiny right now. If you audited the regional health authorities in Trinidad, you'd jail people all the way up to ministers. We've bought hazmat suits in this country for thousands of dollars. The exact same item, same brand, same size, same color is available on Amazon.com for 10% of the price. And I know, because I know the minister. Let me never go down that road tonight, nah? But enter into this failed healthcare system a 71-year-old man who spent his life in negative politics. He spent 31 of those 71 years, 32, fighting the most aggressive. He was called the Rottweiler for a reason. He was an attack dog for the PNM. That's what Keith Rowley was. He's not been kind to himself. His heart is ticking over, held together by God and the ability of this doctor in West Shore. And Keith Rowley knows that. He's been all over the world to keep that heart functioning. Now he has COVID-19, which is told to the world and to Trinidad that if you're over 65 and you have comorbidities, you're dead. That's what we're told. That it is dangerous, it is ravenous, it is unbeatable. So now, you have to take a position. Whether you for the PNM or against the PNM or like Keith Rowley or hate Keith Rowley, it doesn't matter. The conversation now is COVID-19. That's the conversation. The conversation is COVID-19, because I tell you this, by every stretch of everything they've said, Keith Rowley can't survive this. Can't. If what they said about COVID-19 is true, Keith Rowley is going to deteriorate and die. And people may not want to face that. But if what our public health officials have told us is the truth, he can't survive. So what happens if he does? What happens if Keith Rowley survives? Will we say it's a miracle and call for a holiday because Jesus went into the room? Or will we face finally the facts that the numbers tell us? The numbers tell us. I want to tell you what those numbers tell us. Because a man come to argue with me and tell me I'm comparing heart disease and cancer to COVID. And I'm being disingenuous because COVID is contagious and heart disease and cancer isn't. And ischemic stroke, heart failure, cancer, diabetes. Those are the 4 major killers in this country. Suicide. But the first 4, all 4, preventable. Car accident, murder, suicide. So of those 8, a proper highway system, proper highway and road and highway traffic system, minimize the amount of deaths by road. How many people die on our roads because of distracted driving? They won't tell you, but there's a percentage that you could work out, and you could say, of the 100% of people who die in a car accident, let's say 10%, there was mechanical error. The other 90%, the person is distracted reading or sending messages while driving. And all of us guilty of it. And it is the stupidest thing in the world to do, because you're operating a multi-ton vehicle hurling itself forward. The other day I was in traffic and a junior Sammy truck was going the other way at a clip. But I was in the extreme right lane going east, and the driver was in the extreme right lane going west. And I saw him with his elbows on the steering wheel, typing into his phone, and what he is driving and the speed he is going at could throw down a building. And I'm thinking, we have no public service announcements. We have none. Not a single public service announcement talking to our people about distracted driving. We have, and this should be a massive, massive issue. We drink and drive. The alcohol suppliers know that. And they tell you this bullshit about drink responsibly. Drinking responsibly is only take one drink when you're home and know your limit and work out your limit by your weight. But they don't really want you to drink responsibility. They just want less people to make a bother about it so it doesn't affect sales. But let's be honest. Distracted driving from texting, drinking, and drugs. Drugs. We get high and we get behind the wheel of a vehicle and tell ourselves, you ever hear the bullshit we tell ourselves? That when I drunk, I drive better. That's not what it is, you know. When you're drunk, you take more chances. And you don't know that you're taking chances. And you get away with them until one day you don't. Well, that's another story. But of all of the things that kill us in this country, all of them, murder. Murder. There is a number of people who are murdered every day. Trinidad is the highest end of the average. We kill 500 people a year by gun. By gun. Distracted driving, murder, suicide, cancer. We prop up West Indian Tobacco Company, which is a division of British American Tobacco, mostly. But cigarettes are the only product on the market, if used as directed, will kill you. Any other product that kills you, you have to misuse for it to kill you. Cigarettes kill you if you use it as it is directed. Why cigarettes are not banned? Why a pack of cigarettes is not $500 for one? Why don't you go to jail if they catch you with cigarettes? Because the government is a financial beneficiary of cigarette sales in this country. That's the only reason why. But more people die from cigarette smoking in Trinidad and Tobago than will ever die from COVID-19. And if we really cared about people, because people tell me the reason for the lockdowns and the masking and the sanitizing is because we care. So why don't we care about the people who are dying from smoking? Because the advertising companies use scantily clad girls in parties when boys are very, very young. The statistic says if you don't get somebody addicted to cigarettes by 16, they'll never smoke a cigarette in their lives. So that the cigarette companies know that they target underage individuals and hook them. They know that. If we really cared about people, cigarettes would be illegal or taxed, and you don't want to hear that. The cigarette smokers certainly don't want to hear that until the cigarette smokers get COVID-19. And now they have compromised lungs and a compromised immune system fighting the cancer in their system, and they get COVID-19 and your body can't survive the storm. So the last thing you got was COVID. You know the joke about all the fellas who was trying to make up 12 inches? And the fellow who made the quarter inch, who all he had was a quarter inch, he say if it wasn't for him, they wasn't getting nowhere. COVID is the quarter inch. COVID is the last straw. But they write it. They write it on your death certificate, death by COVID-19. But it's not. You're dead from lung failure. You're dead from heart disease. But you're not dying from that because COVID came and pushed the whole thing over. So they will give COVID the blame, and all of a sudden COVID is the big numbers. And I'm saying, suicides. Suicides happen in Trinidad and Tobago because we have a bullshit country. We have a bullshit country that puts children under pressure. The number one cause, and if they investigate, they will agree, the number one cause of mental illness in Trinidad and Tobago is the SEA exam. what used to be called common entrance. We take children at the tender age of 9 and 10 and put them under pressure nobody else in the world does. In Japan, up to the age of 11, all you're learning is how to get along in society. We pressure our children from the tender age of 9 and 10 and force them to try and win a rigged competition, because a percentage of the school places that they are fighting for are not up for grabs. They are already predetermined by connection and collusion, so that some children could fail the exam and end up in the top schools in the country. It happens every year. All the other children are fighting for a diminishing resource, and we're sending 20,000 children to fight for about 500 places in the prestige schools. After that, no matter where you go or how well you did, you're not going to a prestige school. You spend the rest of your life, growing up life, feeling like a second-class citizen. You don't want to put tranquility on your Facebook as the school you went to. You don't. Everybody wants to go St. Mary's and Holy Name and Fatima and Curacao and Presentation, Naparim and whatever. But the truth of the matter is, all of our education system should have been the same, and all of our schools should have been the same if we wanted it. But we can't want it, because we need a rigged system. We need some people to be the owners and some people to be the workers. And in a system where everybody had a fair chance, you might end up with people from Beta owning the company and Sabgas and Aboods working for them. And we can't have that. In a rigged system, certain people who own certain business, whether or not their children entitled it or not, going to get through. And to the rest of the children who fail, it damages them psychologically at a time when their bodies go through the biggest change you will go through before preparing for death. Your body goes through two massive changes. When you go through puberty to come into adulthood, and then when your body starts to shed itself preparing for death. Those two things are very traumatic. But puberty, we compromise it further by giving these children mental illness at the age of 10 and 11. And wonder why, when they get to the point where they do everything you tell them to do and it not work, and they kill themselves. We wonder why. We are doing online schools now, which means that if common sense was the operating factor of everything we're doing, all schools online is the same school. And we can have one teacher teach everybody, because you can access the same information. But we're not doing that because we need the system rigged. But I'm telling you, death by suicide in this country could easily be turned around. The fastest way is to end the child abusive and parent abusing SCA exam. To even the children who win, pass the exam, you rip them from the only world they've known, outside of mommy and daddy and home. The other crucible of development has been school and friends. And at the age of 11, you tear them away from that and throw them into a new environment with new people. Tell them sink or swim. Sink or swim. And even the winners develop mental illness because of SEA. We are damaging our children at the developmental stage, leading to mental illness later in life. Mental illness preventable, that causing suicides preventable. Alcohol and distracted driving deaths by road accident preventable. Lung cancer from smoking preventable. We have a spike in this country of pancreatic cancer. Nobody's telling you why. And it has to do with our environment. We live in a toxic environment. There was a point in this country's recent history where the Curep intersection was the most lead poisonous piece of real estate on planet Earth. Believe that? Our Curep intersection. We live in a toxic environment. Thursday night, I am doing an interview with people who work in the solid waste of this country. And they're coming to explain to you how bad. I'm not going to talk, you know. I'm going to let them tell you. And when you hear this, it will scare the crap out of you what's going on in this country. And the people who are living in Goodwood Park on the top of the hill that facing the Labas, when they step out onto their balconies and their porch, they're breathing in dust that's blowing along with the Sahara dust, dry toxins from the Labas blowing into them and their children's face. And if you are looking, if you have a view on the hill that looks to the east, welcome. That's what you're breathing in. Cancer, heart disease. Our heart disease, and we have one of the highest heart disease rates in the Western world. In fact, African males in Trinidad dying of heart disease in this country is the highest rate in the Western world. We higher than America, our statistics. Again, your Minister of Health and your Minister of Food Production could fix that. But your government is supposed to go into Subway and find out why Subway doesn't have healthy food options. Just nitrite-based processed meat, bleached flour. None of these things have nutrients. These are nutrient-void foods. Fried chicken, French fries, burgers. What passes for meat in a burger patty in a fast food restaurant is barely food. In a court case in the United States, and you can research this yourself, Pringles had to admit that they did not cross the threshold into being actual food. That means you're eating something and you're digesting it, but it doesn't rise to the bar of food. So you might as well be chewing on plywood. And we do that with our fast foods at the expense of the good food that we used to grow and consume in Trinidad and Tobago. Heart disease is preventable. I'm having this whole long talk to get you to understand that if we had treated the major causes of death in this country the way we treated COVID-19, lockdown, put sanitization in place, wear masks, and do those things, you could imagine if we stopped the drug trade, if we really stopped it. Because if we stop the drug trade, and we could, it's easy to. When Stuart Young tells you that we can't secure this nation's borders, think of him as a big green booger that you get from inside your nose and flick it away. Because Stuart Young is a bought and paid for jackass. Our borders are 1/100th of the size of Cuba. The United States of America locked Cuba shut for 60 years. Nothing in, nothing out. Trapped Cuba in a time warp. Because in 1999, Cuba was still in 1969. We could secure these borders so completely that unless we want you to do it, if you try to smuggle coal in, by the time it reaches in here, the heat and pressure make it a diamond. Trinidad and Tobago has a drug trade that is estimated now to be worth $11 billion US. I know that. And the Ministry of National Security knows that because I know. Because I worked with the Ministry of National Security in 2014 under Gary Griffith. And I know that the Ministry of National Security is aware that the drug trade, more than anything else, fuels and funds the gangs in this country that commits all the murder. The guns that you see these little children posing with on social media are not cheap guns. An AR-15 is $75,000. A Glock is $5,000. These children are not stealing these guns. Somebody is putting these guns in these children's hands for a purpose and a reason. And all of those 500 murders that we record every year, preventable. Now, we've lost 145 people in 1 year to COVID-19. And our overreaction to that, we've destroyed what was left of the economy. We've destroyed it. But we've let, for over almost a decade, more than 2 decades, every single year, 500 people dead from murder. We open the year with a January every year to see which January is the worst. We've had Januaries where we've had 17 murders in a day. Now, if we were treating guns, violence, and the drug trade the way we treated COVID-19, while 10,000 people died. So don't tell me. I know for an absolute certain fact that our handling of COVID-19 is an overreaction. It is an overcorrection. I'm willing to admit that in the beginning, they fooled us all. They sent us into a tizzy, believing that the whole world, millions of people were going to die. But the numbers do not say that now. We've had it for a year, and if it was going to be something that lived up to the hype, millions of people would have died. I want to read something that I put out yesterday. It's called the Citizens Union COVID-19 Update. Now, you could react to what I'm about to read to you, and you get angry that I'm reading it to you. But if you go and research all of the numbers and the facts that I'm about to give you, they are incontestable, incontrovertible. They are actual fact. And you have to base your decisions based on fact. Our economy cannot continue like this. New Zealand and Australia went the other way. They have the lowest rates of infection or spikes or COVID-19 in the world. They've now completely opened travel between their two countries, and their economies are wide open. Our economy is dying. But hear this. There were 132 million cases of COVID-19 in its first year, March 2020 to March 2021, and an estimated 2 million deaths worldwide. In that same time period, there were 229 million new malaria infections, with 410,000 people dying as a result. Of the number of people who died globally in the last 3 months of 2020, 314,687 died from coronavirus. 353,696 died from suicide. In fact, 1 million deaths annually. 393,479 died from road accidents. 1.35 million died annually. 241,000 died from HIV. 1 million deaths every year. 558,471 died from alcohol. 3 million deaths annually. 816,498 died from smoking. 7 million deaths annually. 1,167,714 died from cancer. 10 million deaths annually. Put it all in perspective when dealing with a global population of almost 8,000 million people. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago asks, why the continued panic and hype? Why continue the economy damaging, human rights limiting lockdowns and special powers to authorities? What we know of COVID-19 beyond a shadow of a doubt, more than 81% of the cases are mild. Of the 132 million that tested positive, 106 million fully recovered. And of the 23 million active cases, 22,810,000 are listed as mild. 14% of the cases are moderate. Less than 5% of the cases are critical, which means that even in the unlikely situation that you do get the virus, you are 1,000 times more likely than not to recover from it. So why the continued panic? Why hasn't Public Health Regulation 34 of 2020 not been repealed? Contrast to other global virus blips that COVID-19 has been repeatedly compared to. SARS had a fatality rate of 10%. Swine flu had a fatality rate of 28%, while COVID-19 has a fatality rate of under 2%. So why the overreaction? Looking at the ages of those who are dying from this virus, the death rate for the people under 55 years of age is 0.4%, meaning that you are literally more likely to win the lotto than contract COVID-19 and succumb to it. On the 1st of May 2020, COVID-19 took the lives of 6,406 people in the world on that day. On that same day, 26,283 died of cancer. On that same day, 24,641 died of heart disease. 4,300 people died of diabetes. Suicide took 28 times more lives than the virus did. While they are using sensational global numbers to scare you, note for context that mosquitoes kill 2,740 people every single day. Humans kill 1,300 fellow humans every single day. And snakes kill 137 people every day. COVID-19 is a real virus, but it is nowhere near the pandemic it was made out to be. And at some point, the people of all countries are going to have to hold their governments to account and answer. 1 year in, when we knew it was all nonsense, why did they continue the hype? The Citizens Union asks, was it because COVID-19 gave them use of powers beyond those afforded by the Constitution? The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago reminds all senior members of society and those with compromised immune systems to take extra special care, as they should have been taking long before we ever even heard of COVID-19. The rest of the country, we invite to wake up to the truth, to inform yourselves and be ready to support as we take this matter first before you and then before the courts to challenge the continued use of lockdowns and extra constitutional powers to rule by decree in light of all of the information we now have. We invite you to join the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago and join us in the continued fight for democracy, transparency, human rights, and the rule of proper law. To those of you who are going to ask me right now, how do you join the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, this organization? Just go to citizensuniontt.org or citizensuniontt.com and fill out the form. Or you could dial 486-CUT, C-U-T-T, or 471-CUT, C-U-T-T 2888. And you could WhatsApp and just leave information and they'll get back to you and the team will sign you up. But I told you all of that to bring you to this. If Keith Rowley survives COVID-19, he would have made that point that at 71, with a broken and ravaged body, he survives. Why would you even put God out your thoughts and risk putting, you don't even know what are in those vaccines. We don't know the short term, the medium term, or the long term side effects of these vaccines. I'm telling you a fact. A proper vaccine goes through years of study before they put it out for public use. It goes through years of testing. Right now, every single person who is receiving a COVID-19 vaccination from Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson or AstraZeneca, you are taking part in the largest human trial in the world's history. Because they're watching to see what happens to you so that they can list it as the side effects. Why would you do that? Worse, why'd you put your children through that? There's no reason ever for a child, ever, to have a COVID-19 injection. I was talking to a young lady today who is a massive survivor of cancer. And she could lecture people on how to live a clean and wholesome life and manage the entire atmosphere that is your body and the immune system that works in that body to prevent you contracting contagions that could lead to complications. And I'm saying all of this to say that when Keith Rowley survives, because I want him to survive. I want him to walk out of there and call a press conference and say the masks are bullshit unless you're 55 and over. That the vaccines are bullshit and not worth the risk. But if you're over the age of 65 and you have comorbidities and you would like, and a comorbidity is an aggravating issue that is killing you. If you have diabetes, cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, you are on a slower, you are on a train, you're in the departure lounge. You know it. You're literally living one day at a time. And you're managing to your best ability to stave off untimely death. If you have those things and you want to chance it, that's on you. I've made a joke and I said, I am a half Syrian. And if I found out tomorrow that there was a new virus or a new disease that was killing half Syrian people, I'd quarantine myself until that virus was gone. I wouldn't talk to people, I wouldn't touch anybody because I don't want to contaminate myself. But I don't think that it is fair that if there is a disease killing half Syrian people, that the half Chinese and the half Negro and the half Indian should have to quarantine themselves too. It doesn't make sense to lock down all the people of the country, the at risk and the not at risk alike. I have aged parents. My father is not well. The reason that this video started late tonight is because I was dealing with issues to do with my father. And I know that where he is in life, I would do nothing to compromise him. When there was the first lockdown, we took it seriously. We literally locked our parents inside. And we would drop everything. We put out a table in their garage. And we would put everything on that table, bring food for them, we bring groceries for them, whatever we bring. And they'd come out when we leave and sanitize it and take it into their house and close back the door. Because we didn't want to put them at risk. And I'd do that again. If I believe that there was a real, honest-to-goodness spike in COVID-19 in this country. But I don't trust this government. Stuart Young lied to this nation in such criminal fashion. In other countries, he would have been jailed for misbehavior in public office over the Delsey and the drug lords during the first lockdown. And that's not the only lie he's told. We live in a country where government ministers are notorious and criminal in their actions. But we've gotten to a place where we've normalized government criminality, where we talk about what others have done and use it as a justification to let these now pass. But that will never fix our country. And you could hate me. You could cry blood. You could bust your belly button with anger. I am only telling you the truth. And to the people like the same jackass Justin Shelton talking about, I want to be prime minister. I never wanted that for me. I only make myself available to serve because there are too many living assholes like him who would prefer to share misinformation for likes and shares. His insecurity and tiny ego requires that some people clap for him. So you can't sing like Michael Jackson, you had a bad talk Michael Jackson. You can't think and talk like me, so you have to bad talk what I say. Without bringing fact, in this country, you don't need fact to counteract fact, you know. You just have to be able to stunt and say it funny. And people will, that's what they're for. But the reality of our situation in Trinidad and Tobago, that is going down the toilet. Trinidad is like a lump of shit after the flush, and you're watching it spin wrong and wrong in the water. That's where we are. And looking at the shit in the toilet and calling it chocolate cake on a plate doesn't change the fact of what it is. And we have to stop that. Andrea Barrett was raped. She was abducted. Her head was bashed in and her body flung over a cliff. The insanity that when you look at what took place with Andrea Barrett, that a man with 70 charges, people wanted to go to town. This clown Kirkwaite want to go to town over Gary Griffith and talk about extrajudicial killings. You think anybody want extrajudicial killings? But the nation almost applauded when they found out those two bandits were dead and wanted to sponsor Gary a chair so more of them could fall off too. Because the reality of the situation is Andrea Barrett did everything right. She was a good girl. And she got into what she thought was a proper H taxi to go about her business, only to be hand-delivered by one criminal to another, both of them on multiples of charges, both of them moving in the criminal underworld. One, the offspring of police officers, 70 charges, and outside there to rape and kill Andrea Barrett. Gary Griffith and Sort did this nation the greatest service. And if I had the ability to pin the Trinity Cross on each and every one of them, I would. Because like it or not, if they had arrested Balcon, he would have gone through that system and Andrea Barrett would have been number 71 charge while that son of a bitch walking outside stalking other people cheering on a Rima taxi stand. We in Trinidad and Tobago bullshit each other. PNM, Faris Al-Rawi, tried to make this about race, went to find a PNM supporter to have a vigil with, because our vigil had become so massive. The outpouring of love and support and incensed anger directed at the government freaked them out. Jackass go on in the parliament and bad talk vigils. We have pictures of him in vigils with us when he was fighting to get into government. He said we crying crocodile tears. The same bitch end up outside in San Fernando lighting candle, calling for justice against the shit-hung Attorney General. If he not bipolar, what is? Because he is the Attorney General and he march against himself. And we watch that, and PNM supporters, because they breed you to be stupid. They raise you to be stupid. And UNC supporters do the same shit too, you know. Because we stopped being country first. We stopped being a nation that cared about itself first. We stopped. And that's what killed Andrea. The people who killed Ashanti Riley took her belt and tried to strangle her. Now imagine this girl fighting for her life and you are trying to strangle her and that doesn't work. And somebody has to bring a knife and stab her to death so that she could bleed to death, so you could puncture her organs. And then somebody else planned the disposal of her naked body into a river in Lacano, Santa Cruz. Now you tell me tonight that you believe that this is a real country. You tell me that tonight, because I will shut up and I will leave the social media airwaves to every 2x4 jackass like Fats Crooks and Justin Shrelt, or however you pronounce his name, and every other fool outside here wasting your time for likes and shares instead of trying to shed some light on the insanity that is this country. And I want to tell you something. Until they provide solid evidence I believe this entire spike is a complete conspiracy to prevent what was going to be the biggest march in this country's history. And they knew it. They knew it. When you see the PNM and the UNC start to fight one organization, it's because it panicked them. When you had to send little clowns like God Christopher to attack the members of the candlelight movement, you attack Stephen Reese. Stephen Reese is like everybody little brother. Stephen Reese is such a decent and kind and good fella. He was measured 3 times before he stepped out his crease. You will send a clown, a repeated asshole like God Christopher to attack Stephen Reese, who treats everybody with decency and respect. That is the sum total of the UNC. Its entire communications machinery is as weak and as wasted as the rest of the party. The party, the opposition, is absent. They're not here. You could love them. You could tie thing on your hand to match the thing on their hand. It doesn't matter. The opposition has a job and they are not doing it, but they are drawing a salary for it in this broken country. The night of their fake spike, we were in Arima, and that would have been big. But the following week, we were going San Fernando, and we had to use SSL, SEL car park because that crowd was going to be massive. The people of San Fernando, Central and South, but San Fernando, have taken this candlelight movement as their own. And even that night, when we went down there and the police came and stopped us from even having a 10-person on the stage, and all of that was against the law, you know. But we have ourselves in a position where make peace and get the petition signed. But the people outside wasn't taking that from the police. They knew their rights. And they were not going to be dispersed. They were social distanced, and they sat in their cars, and they waited their turns, and they came out and they signed that petition, and they made damn sure that happened. And the parliament has to understand that each and every one of those people voted them into that office. It is each and every one of those people that pay the taxes, that pay their salaries, and they have to respect these people. And 50,000 people, at least 50,000 people was going to march with me from Andrea House to Parliament on April 9th, Friday coming. We had to stop and we had to pull back. We mash our brakes. We say we're not doing it while you're having your spike, brother. But no matter how long it takes, we are going to walk that petition. People ask me, use a motorcade. A motorcade is just organized traffic. We want, you see, why you didn't put the petition online? We're across 1 million already. Maybe, maybe not. But the effort it took for us to get the petition to you and for you to get to the petition and sign 100,000 plus signatures, that sent a message to both parties. Because we did that in a month. That sent a message to the government and the opposition that the people not happy. And they have to pay attention to that. There was no way around. No stunt was working. Nothing they tried was working. So they had to come. The last play was a COVID-19 spike. No problem. But I said this morning, Keith Rowley paint himself into a corner. Because when they announced today that he tested positive for COVID-19, today, the mass of Trinidad and Tobago, the vast majority of Trinidad and Tobago said one thing. You lie. You do that to avoid getting that vaccine because you know that that AstraZeneca vaccine is pure shit. You do that. And people ask, the fastest, the absolute fastest COVID-19 test takes 24 hours. You get flu-like symptoms in the evening and you have a positive test in the morning. A PNM supporter come on my wall to say, he's the prime minister, he obviously must get it faster. I say faster than science. Because faster than the laws of physics. Because that's what we're talking about. And when we're trying to reach these political sycophants, we need them to understand that the truth is absolute. It's not open to whether you like me or not. I don't care if Justin and Fats like me or not. Neither Justin nor Fats pay for my tea or my breakfast or my electricity bill to keep my air condition blowing. They matters nothing in my life. I don't care. Why they so preoccupied with me is what they should be concerned about. Is it that they are incapable of stringing a coherent thought together? So in exchange, they have to pretend to pull other people down. We need, all of us in Trinidad and Tobago, to love this country more than we love Bacchanal. It is the love of Bacchanal that has allowed people that you don't see, whose names you don't call, and as of late, whose names you can't call because they sue you for defamation. Whether it's defamation or not, they're playing a game. It's a mad rush to take what's left and get out. Trinidad is a hostage situation being looted by its government. Not one single special purpose company, not one, could stand up to a forensic audit. Not one, especially UDCOT. If we get a proper forensic audit of UDCOT, you will see where that $500 million on the Red House and $108 million on President's House really went. But instead of that, they are using state funds and taxpayers' funds to sue people who are asking them what you do with my money. It is an insanity that has come to the end. There's nowhere else for it to go. And of all the things that these people have done wrong, the people are just fed up. And they're going to say it with their marching feet. It's a 5-hour walk. We were going to walk from Arima. We still will. We still will. And I want to say to the PNM supporters, you deserve better. Whether you're incapable of understanding it or not, I don't know. But you deserve much, much better. You've been ridden and abused for 58 years. People who just come to the country learn how to do kickback contracts and building things in Trinidad. There are contractors in Trinidad getting $100 million projects that Trinidadian workers could build. But you're not getting the contracts. There are people who become overnight political contractors who at the start, and many of you know them, at the start they had nothing. And by the time 5 years up, they're billionaires. You cannot. Simon de Nobrega is somebody I used to call friend. Simon de Nobrega's family grew up on the other side of a wall in Woodbrook where my family grew up. And Simon and I used to talk when the UNC was in office about the things that the UNC was doing wrong. And Simon talked such a good game. I thought he was a country first person. Turned out he was just auditioning for the PNM. And that's insulting that you would do it like that. That you would and you know what? At the end of the day, he is enjoying the fruits of his efforts. He's a member of parliament now. In seats where in a country where the people vote race. So it doesn't matter to them who they vote into office as long as it's wearing the same tie or from the same side that they're from. But the net result is what? What is the net result? Look at our country. You, your loved ones, your family. Look at it. We watch police officers stop a young lady and her husband and try to provoke a response. The two videos that were leaked are both police videos. Wrap your mind around that. Some people say, but let's do it to other people so they can do it to she too. And in their minds, that makes sense. What their minds should tell them is, it shouldn't be doing it to nobody. And I'm glad they do it to she, so hopefully it ends now. But our mind's not working so. We've been brought up to want to kick each other in the face. We hate each other. The same P&M that needed Gary Griffith to bolster their flagging numbers now vexed with Gary. So now they could do that to his daughter, and P&M supporters could pretend somehow that that's right. But no matter how sycophantic you are, if that was your child, you're all over Facebook talking about it. That you have no right, even if, and the bullshitters tell themselves, he videotaped it in case they needed to defend it in public. And he released it so the people will know the truth. But the people knew no version of it until he released it. There was no way for the public to know what went on in that routine traffic stop unless the police released the video. But in a supporter's mind, the people who released the video needed the video to defend the video. You see that kind of circular stupidity? That is a hallmark of sycophancy. And if you find yourself ever thinking, now I know a lot of you hungry. I know they broke the country. You can't get a proper job. You're finding it difficult. They negotiate and terrorize foreign countries to put visas in place. If Canada didn't put a visa system in place, the whole of Trinidad was leaving in the 80s. They'd have nobody here. We'd empty out this country. And that's the only reason why they have a visa. And Canada could take all 1.4 million, you know. They're just trying to avoid an international incident with whoever is the government at the time. But if they remove the visa requirements to the United States or Canada for 6 months, there'd be nobody left in this country. It would be like that moment in the Bible. They have a thing in the Bible they say where everybody just sucked up into heaven, all the good people. What's that called? The what? Somebody will tell me. But it'll be like that because people will leave. The reality is nothing works in Trinidad and Tobago. Nothing feels right. Nothing. Our sports, dead. Dead. Sports, culture, dead. Dead. Not Exodus, Lisa. I'm talking about something like, there is a term for it where all the good rapture, that's it. Chester, thank you. Thank you, Chester Birchwood. Nice seeing you, brother. Other good people. We have so many good Trinbagonians. I don't understand why. If you all want to make any calls or contributions tonight on either of those two issues, you can ask questions, you can make a contribution, you can WhatsApp me. Message me, or you could call me if you want to have your say on the people who want and to attack members, to attack me. The time it takes, it doesn't matter, because at some point it's going to get deleted and you're going to get blocked. So not only are people going to forget what you said, they're going to forget you. Don't waste the opportunity. My wall is a lovely place to be. They have a lot of good information and a lot of good people. We closing in on 100,000 followers. That's a lot of good people. We have some, when you see Mr. Kendall Baggy, start sending. Wow. When you see Kendall start giving me research. Kendall, you're on the live? Yes, Jason, the Rapture. Where we're looking at now, 682-2110. We will let 5 more minutes pass. We will let 5 more minutes pass, and we could bring it to a close if nobody wants to make a contribution. Good night. What does the Constitution say in the event of the Prime Minister being unable to perform his duties? the Prime Minister is elected in the Parliament, the government, the government of the day, of the Parliament, the people who command the greatest majority, they are invited to form a government, and the person who those members say have the best support among them is asked to be a Prime Minister. So ultimately, if Keith Rowley is unable to function as Prime Minister, it falls to the rest of the PNM MPs to vote among themselves. This is according to the Constitution, to vote among themselves who else could be Prime Minister. But it's as simple as a transition like that. Charmaine John is asking me if I could post the GoFundMe on the live. Charmaine, if you send it to me now, because I don't have it. If you send it to me on that same WhatsApp, I'll post it now. When people type for the first time, good night, hello, good morning, and that's the full thing that they say, I want them to hear me say this. I'm not responding to that. Trolls and bots and spam bots do the same thing. If you have something that you need to say to me, get into it one time. Okay, Charmaine is giving me this. So you're going to see the GoFundMe for the legal fees come up on the thread now. Those of you who are in a position to assist, Charmaine is coordinating out of New York City together with Felicia Holder, the management of the GoFundMe account for legal fees, and we appreciate every single bit of help. Those of you who have not yet joined the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago are waiting to see. Somebody pin call 682-2110. Charmaine, I shared it. Well, we have, I was hoping this person would call. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Mr. Vernon de Lima, how are you, my friend?
I'm not bad. How are you keeping?
Boy, I'm tired. You could see it in my eyes. I was looking at my own eyes and find I always look sleepy these days.
Yeah, well, boy, let me tell you something. That's what COVID does to people. You have had COVID. The whole experience of COVID has put people to sleep all around the world.
And how you going, my brother?
It's like a lethargy that has taken over now. And you know, people are tired. They're tired of staying
COVID fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I live is a very good place in Florida. And the governor of Florida is very good. And he lets everybody can go out and do everything is open and we don't have many cases and what have you. We're doing good. You know? And I think it's an example to the rest of the world, myself, but let's wait and see. But people are fed up. I don't know if it's that so far, so good down here. But up here, you know, people are really, really exhausted. And they can't put up with too much more.
Vernon, I want to tell you something, huh? You would know this better than me, better than most. Trinidadians have been, I don't know, boy, I don't know what it was that allowed us to take so much for so long. But I don't know if Trinidadians could take much more.
Well, I don't know if anybody could take much more anywhere. Because, I mean, people are coming to the end of the tether. You can feel it. You know, you go to the supermarket and people are snapping at people and what have you. And it's all over the place. I'm telling you, it's all over the place. Because of the vaccination problems, I mean, what is happening here is the majority of people in Florida have been vaccinated. So it's much easier. Like, for instance, day before yesterday, Easter Sunday, my son and his wife had a birthday party for their daughter, their 21st birthday party. And they had about 30 people. I went, I was invited and I went. And nobody had on masks and so, because everybody has been vaccinated. You know, and that, you feel a little more comfortable if you have the vaccine and all that.
You were vaccinated, man.
I had the first one, Pfizer. I had the Pfizer, but I was done about it in December. And I had it like the 20th of December, and then for 3 weeks later, January 10th or whatever it was, right? And that's how it is. But you do feel a little more confident when you have the vaccine. Now, I've been looking at that at the garden every day. I can't come to Trinidad because I'm not allowed to come back to my home. But I've been reading the Guardian, and I saw that I really feel that I should have got the vaccine down there a long time ago. You know, and I'm very surprised that you only got it now.
Yeah, but the vaccine that we end up with is the vaccine that nobody wants. We have this AstraZeneca thing that they're worried about, that they say causing blood clots and...
I know, and tonight there was a thing on one of the stations, up to the other one, CNN, warning people about that same vaccine. But you know, Phillip, we're living in a world where we really don't know what to believe.
That's the truth.
I'm telling you, you don't know who to believe. And you know, when you look at these people up here, the politicians, they fighting with one another. You know, I mean, forget the people don't matter again, you know. It's just one political party against the other political party, right? And then a lot of countries seem to be following suit. I look at Trinidad, and I love Trinidad, right? I mean, sometimes I cry when I think about Trinidad and so on and so on. And I see things are going on there, and so I put it on maybe the COVID too, because it does thing with Gary Griffith's daughter, right? When I read that thing in the newspaper, I was so upset. I said, but good God, man, don't tell me that our policemen would do that. They put this child and her husband, right, in the news, and you know the crime situation.
Now, look at this, Gary has been a senior member of government. He was the Minister of National Security under Kamala Persad-Bissessar. And the Minister of National Security is about the 4th highest ministry after Prime Minister, Attorney General, Finance, then is National Security. And he has now been the Commissioner of Police for 3 years. And this girl has kept herself out of the limelight. Nobody has ever... Most people say that because she keeps herself away from it. She doesn't trade on it. So to hear this police officer say that she said she's the commissioner's daughter, so she exempt, that is so out of character. Now, humans are capable of anything, but I look at her. Now, I look at my son. If I was the Minister of National Security or Commissioner of Police, my son would be trading on that in every single party he goes to, because that's how he is. She's been the complete opposite. This girl's profile is so low. You don't know. The first time people even had an inkling that Gary had a daughter is when she got married.
Yeah.
And now...
But you know, Phillip, it goes streets ahead of us. Because I started to wonder, and I'm speaking to my children starting, because we're talking about it. Well, what do you think that is about? I said, I don't know, right? But what I can tell you is that I am very disappointed in the police.
Well, let me tell you what I heard. I heard that there is a very senior police officer who's being investigated for a lot of the corruption and the wrongdoing that the police was famous for, and I mean a high-ranking officer that is being investigated by the Professional Service Bureau now, and that it's causing a little bit of a rift, and that people believe, because when you look at it and you look at the entirety of it, it comes across like somebody was sending a message to the commissioner.
I did. You're very right. That didn't pass me at all, right? And you see, but you know, Philip, I'm going to tell you something now that you don't know, right? And I know you know a lot because I've been listening to you a lot. See, what I'm going to tell you now you don't know. 62 years ago, Bertie Gomes, Albert Mario Gomes, was kicked out of power by PNM, right? And one of his daughters, a few weeks later, was coming back from England on a plane. When she arrived at the airport, the custom officer made her up, right? He took all her clothes and her panties and underwear, waved it up in the air, and had the photographer take pictures of it and put it in the newspapers and sort of stuff. You don't know that, right? And when I saw this thing in the paper yesterday, it brought this thing right back to me, right? That, oh God, don't tell me this Trinidad hasn't changed. Oh my God, no, right? To the extent that Bertie and his children and his wife and family had to migrate from Trinidad to England, where he died like a pauper. Right? He was a Liberian, he came from some little library out in the country and died like an absolute pauper in England. A man who was the man who stood up for the man and in Trinidad and Tobago and was, handing a member of the society in Trinidad.
But it's a gang, you know.
Yeah?
It's in every way a gang, you know. And we know what has made me stop and think is that we all have stories about how terrible the PNM is. They represent a third, right now a quarter of the population. What is keeping everybody else from just setting aside their differences and agreeing to come together just to politically destroy the PNM and then make a better system of governance for all of us? What is preventing that? What?
Well, boy, let me tell you something. I don't know what the answer to that is now because I haven't been there 5 years. Like honestly, I have not been there for the last 5 years. But I can tell you something that this thing is, this dichotomy is taking place even in the United States. I'm telling you.
The two-party system.
The two-party system.
Yeah.
The Democrats and the Republicans. You have no idea about it is. Well, family, not talking to family. Right? You go to a party and you enter the door. They tell you, look.
But look what happened with the Congress of the People. Rocky Garcia and Ricky Garcia sue each other. Prakash and Kishore Ramadan end up in court that reach all the way to the Privy Council.
Right.
It's too easy to cause disharmony among people politically.
Yeah. Why is that? I don't know myself.
But I want to tell you, this girl, Andrea Barrett, what Inchan Ishmael called the Andrea effect, she made it possible for a lot of us to unclench our fists. And I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose
No,
that.
I was going to tell you something. I was going to end my contribution by telling you that at the end of the day, I think you should concentrate on that because that little girl was an angel, right? And she was sent by Almighty God to Trinidad and Tobago to demonstrate something, right? I don't know what it is again. I have not fully worked it out, but I can see the thing growing and gravitating. And it is not going to end. It's not, and all the women of Trinidad and Tobago have to come out. Not only so, they have to take the
They have to, yeah. Somebody said, I think it's Anthony Robbins who said, you have to take part in your own rescue.
That's correct. That's correct. Because at the end of the day, if you ain't doing, nobody will do it for you.
And that's, and the women of this country need to understand that. And need to put aside their differences.
I see some of them on the television, on the internet, who connected the petitions and so on. And they're not.
No. But I tell them, I said, spike all you want to spike. We've had meetings and we've decided we'll continue signing petitions and collecting our petitions, but perfecting our petitions ready to serve. But we're going to walk and we're going to walk. So if they take 3 months, we will wait the 3 months and we will walk 50,000 people into Port of Spain. Belongs to the people.
Let me tell you something. If you have to wait 3 years,
we will wait.
Let me explain something to you for the last, right? I'm going to say something, and I said, I'm going to say it right. And I said, you know, I was saying that when I was when I used to be in this politics. Right is right, and wrong will always be wrong. There's no such thing as you can tell from the little baby in the dialogue, right? What is right is right. What is wrong, and because the children say wrong is always wrong.
Correct.
They have no half right and half wrong.
Correct.
Right?
And we have to get to there. I agree with you. I really do agree with you on that point. You're absolutely correct.
That is a serious, solid arrow into the heart of society. Right? If either you understand that, or we have the party. Right? When you come to me and tell me something about where we go, we can do this, we have a fellow up there, we can, I can teach you them. Brother, you're not in that. Right? If either you're doing things correctly or you're not doing it at all.
You remind me of that morning I turned on my television when I was so frustrated with politics in this country. And I saw Vernon de Lima on Fazir Mohammed show ranting. Vernon asked Fazir, where's the camera? Which is my camera? And he said, Madam Prime Minister, we didn't sign up for that.
That's correct.
That was a call to action, Vernon. That week I was back in the Congress of the People. That week I went back and joined. Just to come and support you. And I said to myself then, I won't forget that. I won't forget that. I said that if there are people of integrity and strong character still, then I will stand with them and I'll fight with them. And you are the reason, you are in no small part that I came back into politics. Absolutely.
A lot of them haven't raised their heads as yet, right? But they're about to raise them. They're about to raise them. I promise you, right? But anyway, having said all of that, I'll get you absolutely. When I put it to do like this, those things having been said, these are left for road. Right? So I will have to say good night to you.
They love you for that, Vernon. I'm telling you, when you see that book come out, hey, boss.
Okay, God bless.
Have a good evening. Thanks for calling, Vernon. Vernon de Lima, boy. All right. Good night, sir. All right. I will answer this person from Gasparilla shortly. I'm reading these comments. Sorry, I'm reading them in my mind because not everything. Mr. Dobson sent a message for Vernon de Lima. Tell that barrister he looking damn good for his age and I am intentionally going to extend tea break for about 4.5 years so he will still be at the crease. Vernon Jason Dobson sent that for you. Good evening. I have treated over 70 critical COVID patients during the height of the pandemic in New York City. 65 of them were over 300 pounds, and the other 5 were in their 70s with asthma, COPD. In New York City, there is no lockdown anymore and zero COVID spikes since February 2021. My brother told the world that one of the biggest comorbidities for COVID-19 is obesity. Drop that weight, because your body is fighting yourself. People ask me to find out which bar Keith Rowley was in where he get that thing. Or they're just wicked and bad. But the country don't agree, don't believe him. They don't believe him, they don't believe anything. They don't believe him. Anyway, it's past 10. We've been at this over an hour. Fats Crooks' real name is Christopher Crooks. He is DJ Anna manager. My partner. Well, everybody have to be something. I find DJ Anna is very cool. I make a little joke once about the girls dance in and out of time, and that become a thing that she's been fighting since. Anna, I was just joking, girl. I mean, you have your own, what is your chunky doll or something? That is your dance. Do your thing, you know. I don't have a horrors with you. So tell your manager to pat down. People messaging me. I hope this person found it live. So, and I want to thank all of you who were with me tonight. It is 10:30, and I will bring this live video to a close. We are going to be, from next week, this studio, we are going to be bringing plain talk every night from 7 to 8 during news time. We believe we'll be bringing more critical information than they bring on the misinformation channels, and nobody really watch them anymore anyway. They don't get no marks the bus, everything on social media, nothing waiting until 7 o'clock to happen. So, unless there's something anybody else wants to give me quickly, or any calls. I missed a call while I was chatting with Vernon, and I missed a couple calls. And I want to apologize for that. I wonder if I should return one of these calls. Let me see if this person still want to make his contribution. But I'm willing to still take calls if you're there. Let me see if this person still want to make their contribution.
Hello?
Hi, you were calling in to the live video?
Follow you a lot.
Well, let me let you wait. Before you speak anymore, you are live now, so everybody's hearing you. Carry on.
That's fine. I listen to you, and I listen to most of the things you say, and some of the things you say is true. I must admit, some of the things I may not agree anymore. But I find the statement posted today was a bit harsh.
It was.
Because yes, let me finish. Yes, the statement has some truth to it, that a person with heart condition is more at risk than others.
No, that's not what he posts. No, but let me tell you. Listen, I want you to make your full contribution, but I want to tell you something. I am not saying that. I am exposing the medical fraternity that is saying that. I am rooting for the Prime Minister to survive, to make my point. That he...
But the manner in which it was said, that's why I said it's not what you say, but how you say it, it came across wrong.
You know, and I want to tell you, you're also right to have that opinion. But I'm a quote Faris, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. Not every cake I bake will be palatable to everybody. But I try to do my endeavor best to make sure that my motives are always sincere in the best interest of the country. And I was the first person out of the blocks this morning to say that I think Keith Rowley is the worst prime minister we've ever had. He's a political charlatan, and I think he should be fired and investigated for all manner of acts and actions. But he's a human being, and I can't harbor ill will towards him for that. And I wish him a speedy recovery. I wish him a full recovery. And I went on to say, today, Trinidadians need to stop being distracted by nonsense. If this 71-year-old man with that bad heart walk out of that healthy, he is the one that is locking down my country. He is the one that is damaging my economy. Now that he sees firsthand that even somebody as broken and as compromised as he is could survive it, please open back up the economy. Trinidadians are...
Yes, Mr. I understand that. But at the same time, can you imagine his daughter, his wife, reading that statement? What it's going to do to them?
You know what I imagine? And I want to tell you this because you sound like a very compassionate person. I imagine all the people who go to the drugstore to buy drugs for critical illnesses that they have that are not available or priced so far beyond the average person that their choices is food or death. I am dealing with people on a daily basis who call me and message me to tell me the most frightening of conditions that they're living under, and this prime minister, who is a puppet of the contract mafia, is running this country into the ground. I want to tell you something. I feel for his family. Somebody asked, why would anybody get into politics in this country? And my answer is, indeed. Keith Rowley has said some of the most reprehensible things about people during his career. So now that he is in the departure lounge and the sun is setting on him, I don't want people to waste crocodile tears here. And again, I want to be very clear when I say I want him to have a full and complete recovery so he sees for himself that he does not have to continue to damage the average small business person. These children that are growing up without social conditioning, don't know how to make friends. This is going to result in so many hardships that we really ought not to have. And I want to tell you this, and I respect you completely, and I appreciate your courage. But I want to tell you something. I stand by every word I wrote, with all due respect.
Okay, but I think, in everything we should still have compassion.
And I want to ask you, this. Doesn't the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one? His post is Prime Minister. His post is Prime Minister. People tell me, respect him for that. And I want to tell them, I want to respect him. I want him to give me something to respect. So far, 6 years in, he's not.
Well, at the end of the day, we all have our views and we all have how
We
we
do.
feel about certain things, right?
And I love the way you handled me and this disagreement. You are very, very good at that. Thank you very, very much for your call. Is there anything else you would like to add besides rapping my knuckles?
That's all. You have a good night and thank you for returning my call.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Yeah, she's right. I want to say this again. I wrote it in a provocative style, but I want people to think. I want them to think. This is a man with a bad heart and other underlying conditions. He's 71. He's damaged. If he could get COVID and survive, then COVID is not as bad as we are trying to pretend that it is. And certainly the young people going to play football or going to bars and liming, not going to damage them. If the borders are really closed, then where the coronavirus coming from? Where is it going to come from if we shut down 1 year now and the borders closed? Where? And somebody posted today that obviously Keith was around Terrence's family because, and somebody else said lock down a certain relative of Terrence, and it's just fun and it's joke because you know what we're good at? And somebody tell me shit talk and cigarettes win the war. Trinidadians are good at sucking back the hardship and the pain and finding humor in it. And that's one of the best things about us. I really weep for my country, because I'm 54 now. And I know that my only contribution now, besides wanting a better life for myself, is to want a better country for those coming up, for my children and yours. I'll never forget Sting wrote a song. Sting was named Sting. His name is Paul Sumner, or Gordon Sumner, I'm trying to remember. But he was named Sting by a Trinidadian, a fellow called Lester Charles, Billy Ocean. Sting used to be Billy Ocean's bass player and used to show up in a black and yellow jersey like a bumblebee. Anyway, that's some trivia. But Sting wrote a song called Russians. And in that song, he said, one of the choruses, he said, Mr. Reagan said he will protect you. I don't subscribe to that point of view. It seems a ridiculous thing to do if the Russians love their children too. And that's the thing. If all of us framed our politics by what we want for our loved ones, my mother told me, forgiveness is not just letting something go, you know. And I was angry the day she told me this, because it raised the standard of what forgiveness was in my mind. And she said, forgiveness is not just letting it go, you know. Forgiveness is wanting for the other person what you want for yourself and your loved ones. And that's a lot. And I think that we need to get to a place where all of us want for this country what we want for those that we love. And I think that if we all, because we are loving people, that is the conundrum of this place. We are a good and loving people. We are capable of the highest contribution in this world. Trinidadians leave Trinidad and go to foreign countries and soar to high heights. And I believe with the right opportunity, this nation, Trinidad and Tobago, could become one of the most powerful and successful and wealthy countries in the world still, even now, Trinidad is better than what Lee Kuan Yew inherited as Singapore. And he turned it around. You need people with vision and compassion and love to be in charge of your country, who have a vision for people that he wants to see or she wants to see, a country where everybody has hope and opportunity. That's all. That's all it ought to be. I need to just plug in this charger because my phone is saying the battery is low. That's how long you all have kept me on this video tonight, so excuse me for a minute. But anyway, we are 20%, so we still have time. No need to panic. It's just to get in the charger, and we're there. Right. I apologize for that distraction. Yeah, and 682-2110. Anybody else wants to make a contribution to the show, feel free. If you would like to make a contribution to the cause, please, you could message me on WhatsApp, or you can message 769-4590 or 486-2888 or 471-2888 and make a contribution, $10, $20, $100, $1,000. We need every cent. I mean, you all have seen this studio, right? I'm going to give you a quick look around. This is the desk. These are the chairs. Look at this, how very cool. I don't know what you see it because I just showed you. But look at this work. Green screen. This is the biggest and best green screen in Trinidad right now. Your studio. I don't know what I did to the thing. Your studio, it belongs to you, Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah? So if you want to assist, all the assistance, any assistance would be nice. All of these people who do all of this work, Satish Ramsaran, Felicia Holder, Sean Sunarine, Joseph Rich Paul, they do it out of the goodness of their hearts. They make sacrifice for this country. They show up again and again, and every single time I wonder what keeps them going. And then the Candlelight Movement, Candice Barrett, Avanel Hector Joseph, Jody Mohammed, Stefan Reese, Inchan Ishmael. I mean, these people are such good and decent people who have given so much to make this movement a reality for Andrea and all the others who have lost their lives, and to make sure that it doesn't happen again, that this can't happen again. We need any membership cards ready, sir? Wayne, I know for a fact I was in a Citizens Union meeting today, and Satish Ramsaran and Sean Sunarayan spoke about that, and we're supposed to be getting cards sometime this week to be distributed. So as soon as that comes, you all know I take pictures and film video and send it to let you all know that is coming. Those of you who want to join, join now. Please go online right now, type citizensuniontt.org or citizensuniontt.com and join the movement. Join with us. Let 5,000 become 50,000, become 500,000. It is when our voices rise to a clarion call. Those who sit in the hallowed offices of power will answer to the people who put them there and pay their salaries. Until we could do that, until we could be that, until we could put aside our petty differences and join hands and arms and hearts and be the country this country was meant to be. Trinidad and Tobago can be so much more. So much more. And I think the phone overheated too. Anyway, I think iPhones have become pure crap and I have to learn another system. What do you all recommend? What system to change? I see Samsung advertising some interesting things. Maybe I'll buy a Samsung. I own 2 iPhones, an Apple MacBook, an iPad. My whole world is Apple. But I think I need to change because the world, I think we're missing Steve Jobs. The quality of the work that they're putting out now is not the same. Anyway, I know that we all like to keep chatting once we start, but it is very late, and I enjoyed this opportunity with you all tonight. I'm asking you again, please tell friends and family all over the world to join the Citizens Union. It is very important. It is because the Citizens Union existed that my one candle could have become a movement so quickly. It is the members of the Citizens Union and their kindness, their contribution, their office, the work that they've paid for, made it possible for, and it was all of the members and the staff of the Citizens Union that functioned as the back end to make everything so seamless for the candlelight movement, and we were able to do so much so quickly. And the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is the long-term play. It is an organization that is built on standing up for all our people against public and private sector abuse. People are sending me a lot of information on phones. So if you really have the info you want to send, you could WhatsApp it to me, 682-2110. Somebody's asking where in New York. On this thread, you will see names like Charmaine, John, and Denise Xavier. You could talk to them. They will handle you properly. Or you could message me and I will forward it. Message Felicia. She's the one who coordinates all that sort of thing, and she'll put you onto it completely. You all see Mascara, you see what's left of Mascara? I wanted to highlight it tonight. Ravindra Lala, I think, is an amazing plastic surgeon. He put this, he said it still have some healing to go because it takes some time, but he put it in what he said will eventually be a crease as I age. But he is a brilliant plastic surgeon. I had a bone spur right here, and he removed it, and he said that when I called his name on one of my live videos, he got a lot of calls, and some from some jealous doctors who thought he was pushing for advertising. I want to tell you something. I could make so much money with ads on my show. We on average get between 250 and 500,000 views a month for my posts and these videos. And I could so easily be monetizing this. When I recommend something, it is because I have tried it, or I have worked with it, or I have experienced it for myself and thought it to be the best. Like Darren's air conditioning. Darren is a man who showed up in the studio when the studio was building and we were ready to go live. And I was at my wit's end trying to solve a problem. We had 3 air conditioned units and one wasn't working and the other one we were waiting on parts, and Darren said, look, if you let me come in tomorrow, I'll just get everything working and you could go from there. The next night we were joking and we were working in a fridge. The man is talented. I don't have a number for Darren's air conditioning, but his number is DARREN. Trissa Hydro Farm. On Facebook, her phone number is 6825909. Now, I want to tell you this. Write this down. If you're in Trinidad, Trissa Hydro Farm does something called a salad bag. Now, a salad bag sounds like a bag of salad. But Trissa Hydro Farm brings a garbage bag. Well, it's not garbage, it's a clear bag, but it's bigger than a large garbage bag. It's huge and it's full of kale and lettuce and pak choy and cucumbers and cherry tomatoes and all kind of thing for ridiculous money. I mean, for stupid small money. What you would pay for a pack of tomatoes in Price Mart or Hilo, you're paying for a bag of salad. Trissa Hydro Farm number, call them. And I tell you something, if you call Trissa Hydro Farm and they give you something, and they're delivering it, they're literally delivering all of the vegetables you're going to need for about 2 weeks to your house. Somebody saying it's $100 for the bag. 682-5909 is their number. Trust me. Establish a relationship. Let me tell you something. I was getting my bag and I was sharing it with my parents. I gave my sister, who lives with my parents, the number. So now she is getting straight from them. And they do things like they come to drop your salad and then they also drop a bottle of green seasoning. Try that. And it's such good service. Yeah, and then there's Harvey of Unique Woodworking. Harvey is such a good guy and he jumps in and helps us out with so many things. He built a whole stage just before they shut down and say that they have a spike. But Harvey realized we were spending money renting a stage. Unique Woodworking, they do real good work, and you could give Harvey a call because he's go above and beyond for people. Now, those are ads that I will gladly give because I experience the quality of their work. Felicia Holder owns a company called Build a Basket. And what she does is hampers on demand. And she's been doing this for a couple of years. And every Christmas now, I order for all of the people that I have a gift for, and $300, $400, $500, $1,000 basket, depending on who the person is. This year, I sent baskets to very senior politicians just to let them know there's no hard feelings. And we got replies from some and some didn't, and that's just the way of this country. But you should call Felicia if you're ever looking for that because it is very reasonable and affordable. And again, anybody who wants to advertise with us on Plain Talk going forward, I want to give you Joseph Ridge Paul's number because he is handling that. Joseph Ridge Paul is handling the marketing of the advertising for Plain Talk. And if you want to advertise or get information about that, Joseph Ridge Paul's number is, so you can write this down. Whoever is sharing information on the thread could type this in. 4636946. Joseph Ridge Paul, 4636946. Or you can call Felicia, who's the head of finance for the organization, 769. Oh God, no, I'm having difficulty remembering Felicia's number, but I have it right here, 769-4590. Yeah? So that's it. I'm gonna bring it to a close now. Anyone got the Hydro Farm number? Jillian Rooks, Trissa Hydro Farm is 682-5909. 682-5909. And I want you all to drown them with calls. They're real good people. You will not. I mean, you wouldn't believe. You had to experience it because I thought that they did that just for me. And it turns out this is what it's do for everybody. I felt special for a little while, but they're really, really good. Phillip, you made the doctor move the horn that was growing on your head. Yes, I was born to be a unicorn. But yeah, and that's that. So we're going to wrap up now. We are working towards getting the studio completely ready to be a nightly show. We are going to be broadcasting. We're negotiating with at least one possible cable provider. But as I said, when we got the millions of views that we got for the candlelight movement, we realized that social media really is the way to go, that traditional media, cable and TV dead. That we got 1 million views on the morning of Andrea Barrett's funeral. 1 million views. CNC3 and TV6 can't get that combined in a month. We got that in one morning. Yeah? So, Trissa Hydro Farm, somebody put a big number there on there's a Facebook page. You mean a little devil, whatever. Yeah, so thank all of you for being here tonight. Those of you who have organizations that would like a recommendation like I just gave, basically you have to talk to Felicia, provide the product or service for us to examine. We are going to continue to stand by our integrity, and we will not recommend anything that we won't use for ourselves. Yeah? So that's it for me. Until tomorrow.